Ex-pump price of petrol and diesel shoots up by more than 18.2% on Wednesday afternoon.
Fix the Country convener Oliver Bakavomawo granted 2 million Ghana cedi bill by the High Court in Tema. Ministry of Foreign Affairs denies government involvement in the demolition of Bulgaria's embassy in Accra by a private developer. An invasion of Ukraine intensifies as Russian forces bomb theater where hundreds were taking shelter. This is News Hour on GBC News and on GTV. My name is Jonathan Thompson. And I am Samuel Akote. We stream live on Facebook and on YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. And now we take our first story. 2 persons have been shot dead while 3 soldiers with the 11th Mechanized Infantry Battalion based in Bazoa have sustained injuries during a gunfight at Barbari Buabula, a suburb of Boku in the Upper East region. GBC News gathered that the incident happened in the early hours on Wednesday, March 16, 2022, during a swoop operation by the military, but was met with resistance from residents of the community. In the process, 2 civilians, including a 9-year-old, were shot dead, while 2 others sustained injuries. Meanwhile, the Bolgatanga District Court in the Upper East region today remanded into police custody 18 suspects who were arrested over the killing of an 81-year-old Fulani horse trader at Kozezi, a suburb of Boko. 17 out of the 18 suspects have also been charged for possessing ammunition and discharge of firearms without lawful authority and possession of substances suspected to be narcotics. GBC News will update viewers on this developing story. You're watching News Hour right here on GBC News and on GTV.
Hello, good evening. This is the Energy segment with Mabel Anang. Now, oil marketing companies are expected to adjust their fuel prices at the pumps as projected in the second pricing window starting today. Petrol and diesel will sell between 10 cedis and 12 cedis per litre, while LPG will be traded between 9 cedis and 11 cedis per kilo. Most of the fuel stations are still maintaining their prices. This, according to the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, AOMCs, is due to some technical challenges with their price signage. Oil marketing companies, OMCs, are set to implement the new round of steep price hikes beginning Wednesday, 16th March 2022. The hike is due mainly to the fall in the value of the cedi against the dollar and increase in the crude oil prices. The OMCs say the volatility in the crude oil market is affecting their operations. Speaking to GBC News, a former vice president of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Mr. Michael Bozombil, said the situation is making a dent in their profit margins.
The truth is we are in very, very tough times. You look at the numbers, you see that they are off your budget. Working capital requirement has increased almost twice what you need to be able to procure the same quantity of products. Your general cost of operation increases, yet your margins are dwindling. So at the moment we are running at negative margins if the prices don't go up. That is why we are compelled to increase prices this window starting from today.
Mr. Bozumbil explained that the delay in adjusting the prices and displaying same at the various pumps is due to technical challenges.
If a station has changed its price at the pump, you will see the new price displayed on the pump. The challenge is more to do with the signboard, not the dispensing, pump. So for you to be able to tell whether a station has changed its price or not, for now the focus should be on the prices displayed on the pump. The technical challenge that industry is facing now has to do more with the signboards.
Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority has pledged to ensure that the OMCs do not adjust their pump prices beyond the indicative prices provided by the authority.
To some more stories, some petroleum consumers are appealing to government to fast-track its planned intervention to cushion them against the frequent increases in the fuel prices. They say the continuous upward adjustment in fuel prices is impacting negatively on the cost of living and putting pressure on their businesses. They spoke with GBC News.
The increase in fuel prices is taking a toll on our business, and there is no money. There is hardship in town. We end up using all our money to buy fuel and gain no profit. Government should do something about it.
I do feel guilty sometimes when I go for money to buy fuel. Oh, they should do something about it. They should reduce it a little for us so that we can also work to feed our family.
The business is not going because the fuel price is too high. If you buy fuel, not get profit. Let me see. You die. But the government do the small thing for the driver because the fuel is too high, too much.
26 out of the 172 oil marketing companies operating in Ghana have been penalized, and National Petroleum Authority (NPA) for engaging in third-party supply activities. The chief executive of the NPA, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, disclosed this in Parliament when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee.
So third-party supplies has been, if you want, an illegality as far as this sector is concerned. But for the first time in the history of NPA, we are hauling third-party suppliers before the disciplinary committee of the board. And as I speak, about 26 OMCs have been sanctioned by the disciplinary committee of the board of the NPA. And so that has sent some shivers into the industry, that this time third-party supplies are not just going to be tackled with verbal warnings and so on. People are going to be clamped down and clamped down decisively. So perhaps that is the reason why there is so much noise in the space about third-party supplies. We are clamping down very hard on them as far as that matter is concerned.
We now bring you some data on national power generation, Ghana's power export figures, and water level in the Akosombo and Bui dams. This ends the energy segment with Mabel Anna. There's more news to come. Please stay tuned.
Now the local news continues. Hashtag Fix the Country convener Mr. Oliver Baka-Vomawo has been granted bail by the High Court in Tema in the sum of 2 million cedis with two sureties, one of whom is to deposit documents covering landed property. The court also ordered that Mr. Baka-Vomawo's passport should also remain in the custody of the Republic, and he must report himself once a week to the police command.
In March 14, 2022, the AG, led by Senior State Attorney Mrs. Hilda Craig, opposed to the grant of bail and said the accused is just a lodger who lives with his friends when he visited the country. The AG, also in its affidavit in opposition to the bill, contended that evidence found in the matter supported the charge of treason felony against the social activist. However, Justice Daniel Mensah, in his ruling, said although the state's argument that the applicant did not have a permanent place of residence in the country, making him a flight risk if he was granted bail, did not warrant him being denied of his personal liberty. The judge indicated everyone is entitled to his personal liberty. He was arrested on February 11, 2022 over alleged coup comments if government went ahead to pass the controversial electronic transaction levy. Mr. Baka-Vomawo, in his application for bail, challenged the claims, saying a charge of treason felony against him cannot be sustained by the evidence available. At the last hearing, Mr. Baka-Vomawo, who was reported sick earlier, indicated to the High Court he was fit and ready to stand trial.
Meanwhile, members of the Fix the Country movement have expressed satisfaction at the ruling to grant the lead convener bail. The members said they will always act in accordance with the law whenever there is the need to protest to demand justice.
Honestly, I'm quite surprised, but I'm happy, of course, that he's been granted bail. But again, we need to remember that we might have won the battle, but we haven't won the war, until they drop all charges. The advice I have is actually for the media and for the public to, to not feel like, oh, this is Oliver's issue, this is a Fix the Country issue. This issue is bigger than us as individuals, it's bigger than Oliver. It is about us as a country, that when you speak up against the system, like Martin Amudi said, when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. And we all have a place that we need to speak up, we need to be outraged. When there's injustice, we can't just turn away.
Law professor at the center of the court case for which the Supreme Court affirmed the Deputy Speaker's right to vote while presiding, Mr. Justice Abdullahi says he will go for a review of the ruling. Speaking on GBC News Current Affairs program, Focus, Mr. Abdullahi said he will file a fresh suit within a month.
I am going for a review.
Okay. When have you decided to do that?
I have a month to
do
that, and so I need to think through everything so well. I need to be able to come up with something that will be convincing to the Supreme Court. Remember, the decision that was made was a 7-0 decision.
Yes.
Much as the Supreme Court does not operate with mathematical issues, it is still important to recognize that if all 7 members were added them on the issues before it, to be able to tilt the balance in favor of myself, I'll need to have a solid argument before them. And so I'll not want to be in a rush, unlike the rate that I had barely 14 days within which to prepare my submissions.
Yes.
This one I have a month, and so and pointing out holes in the decision as made, and also trying to inform the Supreme Court that there are other matters that they did not avail their minds to.
Still on GTV Breakfast, the General Secretary of the Opposition NDC, Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, says his rejection of the Supreme Court ruling on the Deputy Speaker's voting right is because the court placed premium on the right of representation of the Deputy Speakers in contrast to their impartiality, a position which is contrary to the constitutional provision.
One of the main reasons why the ruling came out as it did, according to the Supreme Court, was that there was somehow they were weighing the need for impartiality against the right of representation of the constituents of the deputy speakers. And so they somehow came to a wrong conclusion that they believed the intention of the framers of the Constitution was not to place the need for impartiality above the right of representation. And that is where I found them wrong. Because in actual fact, everything in the Constitution indicates that we place the need for the Speaker's impartiality and the need to avoid conflict of interest far higher than the representation that they were talking about. So maybe they got our intentions wrong. That is why I think that the ruling was wrong.
The government of Ghana has denied any involvement in the demolition of the Bulgarian embassy in Accra. The consulate located at cantonments in Accra was demolished by a private developer on Tuesday, who is claiming portions of the land. The Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, Mr. Kweku Amprichum Sapong, said efforts to stop the developer from continuing with work on the land has proven futile. This was disclosed at a media briefing in Accra a while ago.
It looks like government has got no hand in whatever the developer is doing. I got involved in this particular Bulgaria mission land business on the express instructions of the president. It came to his attention when the Bulgarian ambassador came to present his letters. The ministry, upon being informed of the encroachment of the Bulgarian embassy, invited the parties and their lawyers to a series of meetings in January this year, which were aimed at finding a peaceful solution to the dispute. At those meetings, the ministry referred the trespasser to the ruling of the Supreme Court, which reaffirmed the right of the embassy in the unexpired residue of its lease. The parties were also encouraged to reach a mutually agreed settlement on the reimbursement of the amount of residue of lease due to the Bulgarian mission. We are still not making any headway because the trespasser appears to have even doubled the rate of redevelopment on the land. And since the beginning of this year, when we got back to him and brought the two parties together, he is even working day and night. Now, there are documents confirming and proving that as currently existing, the land belongs to the Bulgarians, even though their sublease on that land has got about 10 or 11 years. So, technically speaking, the land belongs to the Bulgarians. So if anybody goes in there, that person is a trespasser.
Corporation's 10-member board of directors is formally in office. On Wednesday at GBC's National Studios in Accra, the National Media Commission inaugurated a new team whose key purpose remains to help provide direction for GBC for establishing the vision and mission, among other broad goals to enable the corporation function effectively as a public service broadcaster.
Of the Almighty God.
In the name of the Almighty God.
The mantle now lies on the new 10-member team made up of 2 females and 8 males. They have the duty of strategic planning and oversight to further develop the corporation. The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, commended the government and the National Media Commission for putting together another team to help with oversight of the corporation.
The new board, after today's ceremony, will take over the mantle to oversee the consolidation of this transformational process. Transforming GBC from bureaucracy to business in its simplified definition is about ensuring that we put cost to all aspects of our operations and ensuring that we monetize our commercial operations.
Professor Al-Hassan assured the new team that their hard work will be acknowledged someday in the history of GBC. The chairperson of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yaobwedu Ayeboafo, applauded GBC for exhibiting quality in the media space, particularly in the Heritage Month. He charged the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to lead the way with accuracy in disseminating information to the public.
We came here to do work. Every one of us has their own conditions of service. We commend you and want to encourage you to continue that way. We should collaborate and work together. We should discuss matters. When things bother us and we do not understand, let us find means of getting explanation. But not anybody take the law into their own hands because they have the numbers. Democracy is not about numbers.
Mr. Yaobwedu Ayeboafo also appealed to the Electricity Company of Ghana not to disrupt their service to GBC. The new board chair, Professor Samuel Debra, assured the NMC and management of GBC that the new board will build on the legacy of the previous board.
We, on our part, shall work tirelessly and assiduously to make sure that in the end, your reliance on our abilities shall not be misplaced.
The other board members are Mrs. Efua Gati, Dr. Kwame Nyameche, Mrs. Amasewa Nekwe, Mr. Peter Yakwa, Mr. Thomas Bruni, Mr. Ejay Efriye Nketia, Mr. Samuel Insiaba, Dr. Tano Debra, and Professor Amin Al-Hassan.
Away from that. Now, once upon a time in Ghana, every household had a unique way of lighting a fire for cooking and for other purposes. Today, with the introduction of sophisticated equipment which serves the same purpose, it's a different situation. One way Ghanaians cooked was with the earthenware stove. Our reporter Beatrice Senaju gives us a memory jog on the use of earthenware stoves over the decades.
Earthenware stoves are known in Akan as muchia. They were in common use years ago in almost every household. It was crafted in different sizes and shapes. The earthenware stoves were molded with mud or red clay soil mixed with water. The same mixture is used to polish it when it starts losing its beauty or original form. In the olden days, those who had no earthenware stoves used 3 big stones to serve the same purpose, and it worked perfectly. Firewood, kerosene, or palm nut chaff with matches did the trick for igniting fire for the earthenware stove. As time evolved, many inventions came to serve the same purpose as the earthenware stoves. There came aluminium stoves, coal pots, and now gas cookers. Many people switched to the use of the new inventions with time and left the earthenware stoves behind. Visits to some parts of the capital showed the majority of the people were using coal pots and gas cookers. Earthenware stoves were simply non-existent. I then visited several rural communities and realized the earthenware stoves are still a favorite. Some told GBC News that using the earthenware stoves is a way to preserve the heritage left by our forefathers.
It's good that our parents normally use this, but those days, these modern things are not there by then. So they try to manage how to cook or how to use this so that they can eat something.
I can say because we are in village, we don't want to use the cans.
Emmanuel Kolote was of the view the majority of the people in the village setting are stuck to the earthenware stoves due to the unavailability of gas in their part of town. Martha Nadute admitted that switching from earthenware stoves to the use of gas is the way to go, but the cost of gas discourages her from using it. Using gas to cook is faster, but we can't afford it. Almost all the people interviewed unanimously agreed that the continuous use of the earthenware stoves causes more harm than good.
We normally suffer out of these things. Much times we hear the smoke or things, the news that come out of them is not good.
In the night, the smoke from the firewood we burn for cooking makes our eyes hurt.
We have been suffering from too much heat due to the use of earthenware stoves. Using gas and coal pots is better. We have no choice than to manage.
They have been told that gas kills, so we prefer using the earthenware stoves.
Other schools of thought suggest that food prepared with an earthenware stove tastes better than what is produced from the gas cooker or even coal pots. Just like Emmanuel Kolote and others, earthenware stoves can be reinvented to catch up with sophisticated or modern stoves on the market. They believe adding some form of class to it will help to preserve our heritage. Beatrice Sanaju, GBC News.
Okay, Samuela, would you like your kinky to be prepared on an earthenware stove or a gas cooker?
Earthenware.
Earthenware?
Yes.
Of course, like to go traditional like that too. We shall be back with a business shortly.
You're welcome back. Now, news just in. The president says road accidents must be treated as a global pandemic and assumed equally a more proactive and responsible attitude to deal with it. President Akufo-Addo says increasingly the exposure of pedestrians and motorcyclists and exposure to risk of road traffic casualties in the urban areas can no longer be overlooked. He was speaking at the Maiden Kofi Annan Road Safety Awards in Accra.
My support for the institutionalization of this award ceremony comes from the fact that transportation in all its modes, and for that matter, road safety, are bedrocks of national development. Indeed, Africa is the epicenter of global urbanization. The continent is undergoing rapid urban transition, with some 50% of her population expected to live in urban areas by 2030. Unfortunately, urbanization is often associated with increasing motorization and its attendant road traffic fatalities and injuries. This situation calls for creative and proactive thinking in order to arrest the negative impacts of road transport. In Ghana, the government acknowledges that the current road safety situation is not satisfactory, but we remain committed to scaling up our investment in road safety initiatives and building partnerships that will help engineer improvements.
Hello, let's do business, brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN. Producer price inflation rose by 3.9 percentage points from 16.8% in January to 21.4% in February. Manufacturing of coke, refined petroleum products and nuclear fuel recorded the highest rate of 44.3%, while the publishing, printing and reproduction of recorded media recorded the least rate of 2.6%.
Producer inflation computes changes in prices of goods and services from the ex-factory perspective. For the month of February 2022, producer inflation stood at 21.4%. This means that between February 2021 and February 2022, from an ex-factory point of view, prices of goods and services went up by 21.4%. This rate indicates a 4.6 percentage points higher than the rate recorded in January 2022, which the revised PPI stood at 16.8%. On a month-on-month basis, producer inflation between January 2022 and February 2022 was 3.9%. That is, prices of goods and services from an ex-factory perspective went up by 3.9% between January 2022 and February 2022. From a subsector perspective and also on a year-on-year basis, producer inflation for manufacturing subsector stood at 28.8%, which was the highest, close to twice the rate recorded for mining and quarrying, 13.8%, and utilities, 0.5%.
Africa faces a growing gap of 100,000 persons to one cybersecurity professional. This brings to the fore the need to implement rudimentary cybersecurity measures as the continent grows in its digital agenda. This was the primary focus at a gathering of African cybersecurity experts in Accra. African governments face a fast-evolving array of digital threats from espionage, critical infrastructure sabotage, organized crime, and combat evasion. Cybercrime is of central concern to the African business community, which in 2017 lost an estimated $3.5 billion to cyber fraud and thefts. Businesses on the continent consistently rank cybercrime as one of the top threats facing them. The gathering by cybersecurity experts from 33 African countries sought to deliberate ways to bridge the gap between citizens and experts in the cybersecurity space and identify the capacity building needs of the continent. At the forum, the Deputy Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Madam Ama Poma Boateng, commended Ghana for her efforts in strengthening the cybersecurity mechanisms and scoring 86.869% in the International Telecommunication Union ITU from an initial 32% in 2017.
The achievement is proof of our government's commitment to developing the country's cyberspace to be secure and resilient for a sustained digital transformation, and Ghana is determined to improve on this feat in the coming years. We look forward to working closely with our African partners to achieve this, and I believe the AU-GFCE platform is such an important forum to work together. And our membership of global institutions like the GFC is very critical for capacity building efforts on the continent.
The Acting Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Indribu-Esiako, said Ghana's hosting of the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat is a push factor for the country to beef up all mechanisms to prevent cybersecurity challenges, especially in the area of trade.
I understand there is a whole digital component of the free continental trade, and even if you look at how government are developing their services, certainly digitalization plays a crucial role in our trade development at the continental level. Therefore, how do we ensure effective implementation of ACTA through the use of digital platform infrastructure without enhancing the cyber readiness of nations? That is really, it is, and Ghana is hosting that. It means we need to even set example. We need to show leadership by example.
The project lead for the AU Global Forum on Cybersecurity Experts Collaboration Project, Dr. Martin Koyabe, said the project is to address the individual digital and cybersecurity priority of each country on the continent, as well as build the capacity of cyber experts in the ever-dynamic digital space. The Ghana cedi has witnessed one of its worst performances in many years, losing more than 15% to the US dollar since the year began. The situation, according to women importers, has caused a significant increase in the cost of doing business. The traders appealed for government intervention at a session with the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Accra.
In a challenge, freight and then duty and then the dollar rate are still problems, and these will always be problems once we insist on being a country that imports more than what we produce anything. For some of the items that they keep importing, we have the capacity to produce them here, especially with some of these one district, one factory, 107 factories that are up and running, and the products they produce, the kind of international standard finishing that they have. I think it will be a very solid idea for them to be able to partner this innovative idea so that they'll be the arbiter of that supply chain. And then also, we all know that the more we import, it will definitely affect our dollar rate. And as they keep importing, it's definitely going to affect the dollar rate because they do not import with the Ghanaian cedi. They sell the Ghanaian cedi off to buy the dollar, and it keeps increasing the strength of the dollar. They raised issues of credits, access to good credits, access to credits with low interest rates, and we'll see how we can be able to arrange that, especially when it is tied to investing in products that are already made here in Ghana.
Meanwhile, the Multi-Stakeholder Retail Trade Committee tasked to design a roadmap for resolving the impasse between Ghanaian traders and their Nigerian counterparts have completed its work. A Deputy Trade Minister, Nana Amadukwa, who disclosed this, said the committee's reports will be submitted to the ministry for consideration next week.
Some special arrangements with those who are already in the system to see if they can be given some sort of a concession or an amnesty to regularize their documentation and then be able to do the business. You know, it's not only about them not doing business where they are not supposed to do, but also it also has issues with the taxation and how they are able to run their businesses here. Beyond them shortchanging our Ghanaian businessmen and women, how they run their businesses also sometimes shortchanges us with tax mobilization and generation. The discussions are ongoing. We've already accepted the documentations of those who are interested in that concession, and we are almost through with it. I'm sure in about a week or two we should be able to conclude on the Nigerian one.
And that was Business, brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN. Thanks for watching.
Time now for health, brought to you by Lufat, Tobingo's premium gift to Africa. Statistics from the Upper Dentra East Municipal Health Directorate indicates that the municipality from January to December last year recorded a 2,021 HIV/AIDS cases at the 2021 end-of-year performance review meeting at Dunkwa Onofin. The Municipal Director of Health, Dr. Daniel Akolo, said the rise in cases in the municipality is worrying and called on patients to take their drugs in order to suppress the virus.
At the 2021 end-of-year performance review meeting held in Dunkwa Onofin in the Central Region, the Dunkwa Municipal Health Directorate of Ghana Health Service was unhappy about the rise in the HIV/AIDS cases in 2021. The Health Directorate said a total of 2,021 infections were recorded in the municipality between the ages of 0 to 50. The prevalence rate for 2021 was 12.2%. The Municipal Director of Health for Upper Dentra East Municipality, Dr. Daniel Akolo, said unprotected sexual intercourse and low uptake of antiretroviral therapy were contributing to new HIV infections in the municipality. He advised the patients to comply with the strategies for reducing HIV new infections, including the use of condoms when partners did not know each other's current HIV status.
Upper is an infantiman who had the highest prevalence of HIV in Central Region, and this is mainly due to the economic activity of the Galamsey. Sometimes you have people traveling in and out of the municipality. Some they are not residing here, but because of the assistance job with the Galamsey, we are collaborating intersectorally as well as with the municipal assembly and the chiefs and elders to see how best we can curb all this.
Dr. Daniel Akolo appealed to all to support the facilities with boreholes and medical equipment.
Now, a 44-year-old resident of Zuarungu in the Upper East region, Mr. Albert Afugu, is appealing to the public to help raise 30,000 Ghana cedis for a total hip replacement surgery. Mr. Afugu was involved in a motor accident last year and has difficulty in walking as a result.
Further examinations at the Ultima Plus Hospital at Bolgatanga proved that Mr. Albert Afugu has an avascular necrosis of the left hip joint. Mr. Albert Afugu says he cannot move his legs without the support of a walking stick. He is therefore appealing to philanthropists to support him financially to enable him to undergo the surgery.
As I'm with him, he's going through a lot of pain. In the night, he can't even sleep. To go to toilet is a problem. He can't squat. To even bath, we have to look for a stool and put it there for him to sit down. So in fact, we are here to appeal for funds so that he will be able to go through the operation.
Anybody who wishes to support Mr. Albert Afugu can do so through MTN mobile money number 0246 056 812.
And 13-year-old Nancy Gameli has been diagnosed with osteoblastoma, a bone-forming tumor. Nancy Gameli and her grandmother, Madame Theresa Amu, are appealing to the general public for financial assistance of 50,000 Ghana cedis for corrective surgery.
Nancy Gameli is a Class 6 pupil of the Mataheko Roman Catholic Basic School located in the Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly. The 13-year-old, according to doctors' reports, bruised her leg during the COVID-19 lockdown, but all efforts to fully cure her proved futile. Her untreated condition has resulted into osteoblastoma. Osteoblastoma is a benign bone-forming tumor that is extremely rare, accounting for only 1% of all primary bone tumors. Treatment of osteoblastoma usually involves surgery to remove the tumor. Nancy and her grandmother, Madame Theresa Amu, are appealing to the general public, philanthropists, and benevolent organizations to support them with 50,000 Ghana cedis to cover the cost of surgery at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Sesi asena ekon nano ya na yekase ni yedin ba kolobu yenye skampo ntoduane enuro mpo amanfo na boaye sesi omo se nke yenko fie na urade adum ya be ye damti ya omo si ye ni surgeon so ye no 500 million mi hu ba bia me nko fa bi sesi nkofo e madan nya omo so mo abre enti ya se me so me di beto amanfo ni no mo boa me wakure hu Sanse mini shefo bia me asma yare 3 years me ko be bia se ne de beto de ne di kura de mai mini bi nti me sere urade se urade enko bia kuma no mo mo me ne mfanya kura yi enama no si am ye nya bi ombetwa.
Nancy told GBC News that her ambition is to pursue law and become a judge in future, but she fears her dream may not come true due to her deteriorating condition, which has left her out of school for 2 years.
My friends are now in JHS too. I want to be a judge in future, but because of this thing, I can't. I'm pleading to the general public, the government, the philanthropists, all of you to help me.
Kindly support Nancy Gameli surgery by donating to Theresa Amu on MTN mobile money number 059 131 6296. 059 131 6296.
That's it for health, brought to you by Lufat, Tobingo's premium gift to Africa. We'll be back shortly. Please stay.